Hello everyone. Today we will embark on a special journey together, the path to enlightenment. Enlightenment? It sounds like a mystical destination, a place that only masters, true practitioners, or sages can reach. But the reality is not like that. Enlightenment is not a specific destination. It is a journey that any of us can embark on. It is a process of self-discovery and awareness, a journey that helps us deeply connect with the true nature of ourselves and the vast universe. Try to recall the profound moments you have experienced in your life. Maybe it's the moment you stand before a beautiful sunset, when you feel your heart expand and break free from all constraints. Or perhaps it's the moment you sit in the stillness of meditation, when all thoughts and worries suddenly vanish and you feel a deep sense of peace. Or it could also be in the most difficult moments, when you have to face pain or loss, that you suddenly realize a deeper layer of life, a transcendent awareness that you had never seen before. Those are the moments of awakening, the small yet powerful rays of light, giving us a sense that something greater, deeper, exists here. Those moments give us a glimpse into a reality far beyond the tangible, where feelings, thoughts, and ordinary limits lose their meaning. These are the signs, the starting point for our journey on the path to enlightenment. The journey of enlightenment is an unlimited path, where each person undergoes different experiences but shares a common point: a transcendent feeling, a sense of connection to something beyond oneself. Perhaps you have heard stories of astronauts as they gaze at Earth from space, feeling the small yet miraculous nature of life, a sense of being liberated from all physical limitations. Or those who have experienced near-death experiences, when they describe the feeling of leaving their body and touching another dimension, from which they return with a completely new perspective on life. These experiences have completely transformed them, as they opened up a new horizon, a different awareness that daily life often obscures. When we embark on the journey of enlightenment, the first thing we need is the courage to acknowledge our spiritual experiences. Sometimes we easily dismiss those transcendent moments, thinking they are just coincidences or fleeting emotions. But when we truly dare to accept and acknowledge them, we will realize that those moments carry great significance, like a reminder that we are not alone, that this life has depth and meaning far beyond what we usually see. Enlightenment is not an easy path. It requires courage to transcend the ego, to go beyond the limits of the self, and to embrace a new awareness. But that is also the path that brings freedom, peace, and deep connection. This is the path that helps us free ourselves from constraints, from illusions about ourselves to the material concepts imposed by society. In this journey, we will gradually explore and liberate, rediscovering the inherent freedom within. Let's embark on this journey with an open heart and readiness. You will not be alone, because those who have walked this path have had similar experiences. We will together explore the profound aspects of awakening, face the challenges brought by the ego and self, learn to accept suffering and difficulties, and seek a true state of balance between compassion and ego-lessness. This journey has no endpoint, for enlightenment is not a stopping point. It is an ongoing process, a continuous maturation, where each experience, each challenge, and even the mistakes become part of the path to enlightenment. In this journey, every moment is an important part, an opportunity for us to understand our true nature, to live authentically as ourselves, and to find joy in a deep connection with the world. So, let's embark on this journey together with trust and gratitude. Let each day that passes be a small step on the path to enlightenment, a journey you will never regret. On the path to enlightenment, the first step is awareness. Awakening is not something mysterious or lofty. It is when we begin to realize that life has another layer of meaning beyond everyday concepts. Awakening is a moment of realizing that oneself and this universe contain many things that cannot be confined within ordinary thoughts and feelings. That's when we see ourselves not just as thoughts, the roles we take on, but as part of a vast and deeply connected reality. When you have felt this awakening, an important truth emerges. You cannot return to the previous state of ignorance. The state of awakening is an expansion of awareness, like a new window opening, allowing us to see things that have always been present but were previously overlooked. Each person can experience the state of awakening in their own way, but the common point is a feeling of lightness and freedom, as if we have shed a layer of biases and limitations. Awakening moments can occur unexpectedly, and they can come from very ordinary situations. It could be a moment when we sit quietly, observing the beauty of the surrounding nature, or when we listen to a piece of music that brings deep emotions. Even in moments when we face difficulties, suffering, and loss, awareness can emerge. When the curtains of pain fall, we see the vastness and peace behind them, realizing that we are not separate from the world, but a part of it. Everything is interconnected and influences each other. Awakening is the first step, but not the final destination. It is the threshold for us to embark on the journey of enlightenment, where every experience, whether joyful or sorrowful, serves as a building block for that journey. Since we became aware of enlightenment, everything in life has become a part of the awakening process. Every event has its own meaning, helping us learn and grow. Nothing is random or meaningless. Everything is material for us to continue walking on the path of discovering our true nature. Awakening is not a state that happens once and then disappears. It is a continuous process, a gradual transformation, as we gradually become more aware of our true nature and that of the world around us. There are days when we feel awake, but there are also days when we get swept away by old thoughts and emotions. This is completely natural. It is important that we are aware of those moments and gradually learn to observe and perceive them without getting caught up in them. We can clearly see that mindfulness brings us a new sensitivity. From then on, every experience, every thought, and every emotion were perceived clearly and were not limited by previous prejudices. The mind is no longer a place that holds fixed ideas, but rather a wide open space, ready to embrace everything with curiosity and appreciation. This is the moment when we truly feel the value of each moment, each breath, realizing that mindfulness does not lie outside, but exists within each of us. On the journey towards enlightenment, one of the greatest challenges is overcoming the ego, the part we often define as our self. The ego tends to lure us into illusions and temptations, making it easy for us to go astray. The ego, with its desire for affirmation and recognition, knows very well how to create masks to hide its weaknesses. When embarking on the journey of enlightenment, one may feel the need to excel, to be exceptional compared to others. Even more subtly, the ego can convince us that we are closer to enlightenment than anyone else, or that we are the chosen ones. One of the forms of the ego is the spiritual ego, the ego that takes charge in each person's awakening journey. Sometimes when we start on the spiritual path, our ego suddenly appears in a new form, making us feel that we are superior or noble compared to others. We might feel more knowledgeable, more awakened, and from that, inadvertently, a sense of distinction between ourselves and others might arise. This is a big trap, because when the mind is dominated by the ego, we no longer see ourselves as part of the whole, but rather as a special individual, detached from the true nature of awakening. The spiritual ego is very subtle and easily lures us into the traps of false holiness. where we pretend to be awakened or merely maintain an outward appearance without truly living with inner awareness. That's when we try to create an image of a profound, peaceful, and enlightened person, but in reality, we are still influenced by worries, ambitions, and jealousy. We can tell ourselves that we have achieved tranquility, but in reality, there are still underlying desires, the longing for recognition and admiration. This is no different from a beautiful cloak that we wear to hide our inner self. There is nothing wrong with feeling that we are changing and developing, but the truth is that enlightenment is not a title or a state that we can achieve to surpass others. True enlightenment is a state of freedom from the ego, a time when we are no longer bound by prejudices about ourselves or others. That is the moment we live fully without needing to prove anything, without needing to create an image to satisfy the ego. And to achieve that state, the first thing we need is honesty with ourselves, to recognize and accept the weaknesses and insecurities that our ego always tries to hide. The ego is not an enemy that we need to completely eliminate, but a part of ourselves that we need to understand and transform. The ego is like a tool. When we know how to use it, it can become a means for growth and learning. However, when the ego takes control, we easily get caught up in illusions of superiority, forgetting the true purpose of the spiritual journey. When we learn to observe the ego without letting it take control, we can act from our true nature, from compassion and inner peace. Choosing actions from one's true nature is a way for us to live harmoniously and not get lost in the traps of the ego. When doing something, instead of thinking about personal benefits or how others will judge, let's ask ourselves whether the action comes from sincerity or compassion. Instead of trying to impress, we can live and act naturally without forcing it. When we no longer need to create any images, peace and freedom will come to us naturally, not through constraint or control. This practice can be difficult because the ego always seeks to dominate, especially when we receive praise or recognition from others. But this is the moment to observe ourselves deeply, to realize whether the satisfaction brought by the ego is truly lasting or just a temporary satisfaction, after which we feel empty again. True satisfaction only comes when we no longer need to rely on external conditions, when we feel content with ourselves not because of any recognition or evaluation. On the path to enlightenment, the greatest challenge may not be the external difficulties, but rather recognizing and overcoming the illusions created by the ego. We need to stay alert to avoid getting lost in the illusions of fake enlightenment or holiness. Remember that enlightenment is not a state to be achieved for pride, but a return to your true nature, a comprehensive acceptance of all aspects of yourself, and living harmoniously. The journey of enlightenment is not a journey separate from life, but rather a process of transforming oneself within the daily activities, responsibilities, and challenges. Every moment we live is an opportunity to grow, to learn, and to understand more about our true nature. Instead of waiting for a moment of awakening or some perfect state to achieve enlightenment, we can start right from the simple things, the small responsibilities that are no less meaningful. Every challenge in life can become a valuable lesson if we choose to embrace it as part of our growth journey. One might think that taking care of the family, raising children, or handling work are responsibilities that make them feel stuck in everyday life. But in reality, each of those tasks is an opportunity for us to learn and cultivate patience, tolerance, and love. Every time we face responsibility, every time we choose to serve others instead of just thinking of ourselves, we are gradually transforming, step by step, getting closer to the true essence of enlightenment. Challenges in life often come with pain and stress, But instead of avoiding or trying to suppress those emotions, we can learn to embrace them as a natural part of this journey. In times of suffering, sadness, or disappointment, we have the opportunity to observe the self more clearly. That is the moment when we see our own sensitivity and vulnerability, and it is also the moment when we can free ourselves from the imprisonment of negative emotions. Pain is no longer something to be avoided, but has become a means to awaken, to realize that nothing in life can control or limit our true nature. A core element of the journey to enlightenment is enlightenment through service and compassion. When we help others, when we place the needs of others above our own, we are cultivating compassion, expanding our hearts, and feeling a connection with everyone. In small actions like a smile, a word of encouragement, or unconditional support, we not only help others, but also help ourselves grow, feeling peace and happiness from sincere giving. Living with compassion does not mean blindly sacrificing oneself or abandoning all personal needs. Instead, we learn to act from a place of voluntariness, from love, and without demands. When we help others not to seek recognition, not to prove ourselves, each act of compassion becomes a step forward on the path to enlightenment. When we do something from the heart, without expectation, we not only help others, but also free ourselves from the constraints of the ego. Acceptance of all circumstances is an important factor in the journey of self-transformation. Acceptance does not mean giving up or resigning, but rather stopping the struggle against circumstances and finding a way to live in harmony with them. When we accept everything as it is, when we do not try to change what cannot be changed, we achieve inner freedom. Acceptance helps us reduce suffering, as we no longer feel resistance against the world, no longer feel pressured by things we cannot control. In the process of self-transformation, suffering is not only an unavoidable part, but also an essential part for our development. By stopping to identify ourselves with pain, we learn to observe it as an experience, instead of being controlled by it. When we no longer fear or deny the pain, we can free ourselves from the ego, from the illusions of perfection. Suffering becomes a means to enlightenment, helping us realize that our true nature is never harmed, that we are a part of the vast universe where everything is interconnected and meaningful. The journey of self-transformation is not a battle with external things, but a reconciliation with oneself. That's when we no longer distinguish between good and bad, no longer try to avoid experiences, but instead embrace them fully. Every challenge, every suffering has its meaning and is an opportunity for us to become stronger, wiser, and more loving. Through that, we realize that enlightenment is not about renouncing life or everyday experiences, but about cherishing them, about how we live fully with everything that is happening. On the journey to enlightenment, compassion and the realization of non-self are two key elements that complement each other. Compassion helps us connect with others, feeling their pain and joy as if it were our own. Non-self-awareness helps us understand that everything in life is temporary, freeing us from the bondage of the ego, fear, and the pressure to control. However, to achieve profound enlightenment, maintaining a balance between compassion and selflessness is essential. There are people who work in professions that face the pain and difficulties of others every day, such as doctors, nurses, teachers, and rescue workers. They often feel burdened by responsibilities, sometimes to the point of exhaustion. How to maintain compassion, always willing to help without getting caught up in the pain of others. How to maintain a balance between empathy and keeping a certain distance so as not to lose oneself. This is a question that each of us must answer on the path to enlightenment. Balancing compassion and non-self-awareness means that we are not swept away by the emotions of others, but can still feel and share with them. When we see a friend in pain, Compassion drives us to comfort and help them, but non-self-awareness reminds us that we cannot completely change their reality or control what they are going through. The only thing we can do is to be present, to accompany, but not to drown in the pain of others. To maintain this balance, we need to develop the ability to observe and listen deeply from within our souls. Observation does not only mean looking, but also looking without judgment, being aware of everything without identifying oneself with them. Listening is not just about hearing what others say, but also about sensing what is left unsaid, to deeply understand and empathize with them without losing your own balance. When we begin to listen and observe with mindfulness, we will see that there is no clear distinction between ourselves and others. Everyone and everything are part of the universe and are closely connected to each other. This helps us cultivate compassion sincerely and naturally without having to strive or force it. When we understand that everyone is a part of each other, compassion will naturally arise, free from the pressure of being the savior or having the responsibility to change someone's life. To maintain this balance in life, we can also take advantage of the small moments every day. Take the time to observe and feel everything around you with a calm mind, without haste, without prejudice. It could be listening to the sound of birds singing, observing a flower, or even feeling each step while walking. These moments help us cultivate the intuitive heart, a profound sense of connection and compassion, as well as the understanding that everything exists naturally without the need for control. When we interact with everything around us from the heart of intuition, we no longer feel like the center of the universe. We don't need to own or control everything. We simply exist, immerse ourselves in everything, and feel the wonder of each moment. Compassion will naturally grow, and selflessness will become strong, helping us maintain a balance between helping others and preserving inner peace. Enlightenment is not something that happens in a single moment, but is a long process. On this path, there will be times when we lose our way, when our compassion is so great that we forget ourselves, or when we mistakenly believe that egoless awareness is separation and coldness. It is important to always remind oneself of the nature of compassion and selflessness, the ability to love freely, without attachment, and without any conditions for existence. On the journey to enlightenment, one of the important factors is a deep understanding of the laws of nature and the interconnectedness of all things. Every life, every event, and every moment unfolds according to unerring laws. These laws are not coercive, but rather a harmony and balance, where everything operates with its own purpose and meaning. The philosopher Plato once mentioned that understanding the laws of nature is a way to perceive the perfection and integrity of the universe. These laws are present in everything, from the movement of planets to the growth cycles of plants, from flowing rivers to sturdy mountains. When we understand and immerse ourselves in those laws, we no longer feel compelled by desires nor bound by aimless ambitions. Instead, we feel a natural peace, a state where everything is respected and accepted as it is. Each of us is a part of this universe, from humans to plants, from water to air. Everything follows the laws of nature and forms a harmonious whole. When we understand that we are a part of that balance, we will stop seeing ourselves as the center of the world, stop demanding that everything revolves around us. Instead, we accept and appreciate what is happening as a natural manifestation of the universe. Understanding the laws of nature helps us let go of control, live in tranquility, and easily face all challenges. When there is no longer a feeling of having to resist or control everything, we will notice that everything operates smoothly. Life becomes easier because we no longer feel the need to force or struggle against what is beyond our control. Learning to accept and appreciate everything is the next step in this journey. When we no longer view everything from a personal perspective, when we no longer distinguish between right and wrong, between benefit and harm, we begin to perceive the perfection in every moment. Each event, each person has their own reason and meaning. I no longer feel annoyed by the things that don't go my way, because I know that everything that happens is a part of the natural law, a part of eternal perfection. When we live with that mindset, we will appreciate the beauty of each moment, whether it is joy or sorrow, success or failure. I no longer impose my personal views on everything. Instead, I observe and accept them as they are. This is the way to live with peace. When we immerse ourselves in the flow of the universe, when we accept and cherish everything that comes our way without judgment or resistance, understanding the laws of nature and the interconnectedness of all things helps us develop respect for all living beings and the surrounding environment. When we realize that everything is closely interconnected, we will see that we have no right to disrupt that balance, no right to harm or destroy any part of the universe. From then on, we will live with respect and protect everything, from loved ones to small creatures, from the living environment to everything that belongs to nature. With this understanding, we gradually come to feel our responsibility in maintaining and protecting the natural balance. Every action we take affects everything around us, and we are the ones who contribute to the harmony of the universe. When living with this awareness, we do not only live for ourselves, but also for the benefit of all. This is the way to live with meaning and peace, when we realize that we are not separate, not alone, but an indispensable part of the vast universe. On the path to enlightenment, each step we take is part of the process of discovery and awareness. Enlightenment is not a destination, not a fixed state that we can grasp, but a journey, a continuous transformation. In that journey, we gradually peel away the layers of the ego, step by step, overcoming challenges and finding peace and freedom in each moment. Enlightenment is when we awaken from the illusions of the ego and the desire to be perceived by others, and instead embrace a comprehensive acceptance of ourselves. That's when we realize that peace does not come from external things, but from a deep understanding of our own nature. Through this journey, we realize that no mistake is meaningless, no failure is a loss. All are ingredients that bring us closer to the understanding of true nature. The journey of enlightenment helps us understand that each experience, each relationship, whether joy or sorrow, is an indispensable part of life and holds value in the process of soul development. Each difficulty, each pain, is an opportunity for us to discover more about ourselves and free ourselves from the control of the ego, from the constraints we once thought were unchangeable. Enlightenment is not only the process of self-discovery, but also a profound connection with all things. When we realize that we are a part of the vast universe, we no longer feel lonely or isolated. I feel a connection with all living beings, with every breath of life, and from that, compassion, forgiveness, and love become natural. We understand that living with awakened awareness not only helps ourselves, but also brings peace and light to those around us. The journey of enlightenment is a journey of freedom, where we live fully without being bound by external pressures and desires. That's when we live from the heart, from our true nature, not getting caught up in the illusions and demands of the ego. This is a state where we no longer need to prove or seek anything outside of ourselves. That's when we understand that everything we need is already within us. Ultimately, enlightenment is a reminder that each person's journey is unique. No one can walk it for someone else, and no one can judge another's journey. We are all on the same path, with different challenges and opportunities, but the common destination is liberation, freedom, and a return to our true nature. Enlightenment is a journey that never ends, where each passing day is a step forward, whether small or grand, it is all valuable. This is a journey of awakening, of compassion and peace, where every experience, every moment becomes meaningful and profound.